Chapter 31 You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Making it Public Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. I'm here to support you. Mu Chen's words struck everyone like a bolt of lightning. Secretary Zhang's eyes widened in shock as he stuttered, PP President Mu, why.you? Mu Chen placed his hand on Song Ning's shoulder nonchalantly as he looked at Secretary Zhang and said, Secretary Zhang, I'm not here to ask for justice. I'm here to support my beloved Song Ning since she's my wife. Next time, please think twice before scolding her. If the professor were not present, and Jiahui would have given a thumbs up to Mu Chen out of admiration. Indeed, he was an outstanding big shot. This domineering man came to protect his Song Ning and support her, not to seek justice. This meant he did not care if Song Ning was right or wrong, he was here to support Song Ning no matter what. She wanted to laugh when she thought about this. Those people deserve this. A grin appeared on her face as she thought to herself, Song Ning, you're really blessed. Meanwhile, Secretary Zhang was so embarrassed that he wished he could hide in a hole. Professor Li Sen's eyes lit up as he asked, Hey, when did this happen? Girl, when did you get married? Why didn't we know about it? Then, he looked at Jiahui and asked, and Jiahui, did you know about this? Upon hearing the professor's words, Jiahui was stunned. She was so focused on Mu Chen's declaration of supporting Song Ning that she did notice he had referred to Song Ning as his wife. She only looked at the professor blankly and shook her head. Professor Li Sen scowled and beckoned Song Ning over. Girl, come here. Tell me, were you tricked into getting married? How come we don't know you got married even though we see each other every day? Don't worry, I have your back if anyone dares to trick you. At this moment, Direction Lin laughed. He hurriedly stepped in front of Secretary Zhang as though he was shielding Secretary Zhang before he said with a smile, Song Ning, Professor Li really cares about you. Mr. Li, don't be ridiculous. Who do you take our President Mu for? How could it be possible that he tricked Song Ning into marrying him? Don't talk nonsense. Li Sen ignored Director Lin. Instead, he glared at Mu Chen and said, Song Ning is my beloved student. She's really naive and innocent. You see, she was just minding her own business and drinking coffee, and yet, these girls blocked her path and cursed at her. I'm just worried she was tricked into marrying you due to her kindness. Mu Chen turned to face Li Sen with a rare gentle expression on his face, even his cold aura had dissipated. After all, he knew Li Sen was Song Ning's teacher and that she respected Li Sen a lot. He glanced at Song Ning, who was blushing, and gently pulled her closer to him, resting his arm around her shoulders. He wanted her next to him. Professor Li, Song Ning and I only registered our marriage, and we haven't had a wedding banquet yet. We're planning to wait until she graduates. Upon hearing these words, Li Sen seemed appeased. However, despite the smile on his face, he asked again, Girl, did you willingly marry him? Mu Chen turned to look at Song Ning tenderly when he heard Li Sen's question. Song Ning nodded gently. Professor. Li Sen laughed and stopped teasing her. Then, he said to Mu Chen solemnly, My apprentice is very kind. She's worthy of your love. Yes. Mu Chen placed his hand on Song Ning's head and ruffled her hair affectionately. Direction Lin tried to lighten the atmosphere and hurriedly chimed in, Oh, this is good news. I didn't know that Ms. Song and President Mu are married. At this moment, a gentle voice rang in the air. Mr. Mu, you can't marry Song Ning. With these words, the atmosphere turned tense again. NOV Director Lin sighed inwardly. Why am I so unlucky today? Chapter 32 You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Destruction Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation Foam Man's timid expression was replaced by a righteous expression. She mustered up her courage to look at Mu Chen's cold expression as she thought to herself, I can't let Song Ning win no matter what. How can she turn around and find a man who's better Fu Lu? Then, Feng Man said, Mr. Mu, Song Ning has a marriage contract. She can't marry you. Song Ning looked at Feng Man. At this moment, she felt Feng Man and Fu Lu were truly pitiful. Mu Chen then asked indifferently, who does Song Ning have a marriage contract with? Feng Man avoided Mu Chen's cold gaze and tried to calm down. Then, she said, Fu Lu. Song Ning and Fu Lu are childhood sweethearts who grew up together. Their mothers made a marriage contract for them. Hence, Song Ning is bound by the marriage contract. President Mu, don't be fooled by her innocent appearance. She abandoned Fu Lu because you're richer and your family background is better than Fu Lu. In fact, she hasn't broken up with Fu Lu and is cheating on him. Mu Chen tightened his grip on Song Ning's shoulder, motioning to her not to speak. Then, he looked at Feng Man and asked, Miss, why do you know about her personal life in such detail? I'm her best friend. I've also seen her relationship with Fu Lu. Feng Man said, growing more confident. And Jiahui interjected angrily, Ha! You're really shameless. How dare you say you're Song Ning's best friend? Jiahui did not understand how Feng Man could be so shameless. Yesterday, she had been delighted when she received roses from Fu Lu and proudly declared he was her boyfriend. How could she turn around now and push Fu Lu to Song Ning again? Jiahui rolled up her sleeves and was about to step forward when Mu Chen looked at her. She stopped in her tracks immediately. She was happy Song Ning had someone to protect her now. Moreover, the person in front of her was not a pushover. Feng Man continued to say, and Jiahui, what are you talking about? I'm her best friend. Song Ning and I have been good friends since high school. Her parents divorced, and her father abandoned her. That's why she changed her name. She used to be called Ning Xia. Mu Chen clearly felt Song Ning's body tightened when she heard her previous name. His voice turned icy instantly as he said, if I'm not mistaken, yesterday, you received a full room of roses from the Mr. Fu you mentioned, right? What's with that? Why would Song Ning's fiancé send roses, which represent love, to you, Song Ning's best friend? Is he insane? Feng Man froze up when she heard Mu Chen's words. Feng Man's friends were flustered as well. They could not help but take a step back, distancing themselves slightly from Feng Man. Was Song Ning telling the truth? Was Feng Man using them? At this time, Mu Chen dipped his hand into the pocket of Song Ning's white coat and fished out Song Ning's mobile phone. Without asking for the password, he entered her mobile phone. His fingers typed on the phone for a moment before everyone's phones started to ring. Everyone instinctively took their phones out to have a look. Intimate photos of Feng Man and a man had been sent to the hospital's group chat. The most amazing thing was the intimate pictures were sent by Feng Man. Feng Man's face paled immediately. She clicked at her phone desperately, trying to delete the pictures. However, to her despair, the pictures could not be deleted for some reason. She cried out, no, 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 I didn't send it. It wasn't me. She looked at Mu Chen in horror. How did you do it? Mu Chen said nonchalantly, it's just a little trick. Song Ning might not be bothered to share your dirty photos. However, I'm not going to stay idle if you bully her, so don't blame me for being rude. You have to bear the consequences of your actions. After Mu Chen finished speaking, he clicked on Song Ning's phone again, playing a voice message. Chapter 33 You are listening at novelfull.audio. Embarrassment. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Ning, I've met Fu Li's father and grandmother. I promised them that when Fu Lu and I get married, I'll quit my job and be a housewife. The Fu family is wealthy and powerful, so they don't need a career woman like you. I'm the type of woman they want Fu Lu to marry, do you understand? I hope you won't see Fu Lu again from now on. After all, he's my fiancé now. Phone man's gloating voice echoed clearly from Song Ning's mobile phone in the quiet corridor. Mu Chen's voice broke the awkward silence. Now, tell me, what's the relationship between Mr. Fu Lu and Song Ning? Then, he looked at Professor Li Sen and Director Lin and said, Song Ning and I were single when we got married. Although I don't need to explain myself to anyone, I won't stand it if someone tries to ruin the reputation of someone as amazing as Song Ning. I'll protect her for the rest of my life. Professor Li Sen nodded in satisfaction while Director Lin was shocked. On the other hand, Secretary Zhang wished he could disappear into thin air at this moment. No, he wished he could turn back time and take back what he had said. As expected, An Jiahui was infuriated when she heard the voice message. Phone man. You really crossed the line. You knew Fu Lu and Song Ning had a marriage contract, but you still went between them. Not only did you cause their breakup, but you even dared to gloat and show off in front of her. You be *tch. Now that you discovered Song Ning found someone better than Fu Lu, you want to sabotage her relationship again. What's the matter? Do you want to return Fu Lu to Song Ning now? Mu Chen, you should really thank Miss Feng and Mr. Fu. If it weren't for this pair of scumbags, you and Song Ning wouldn't have met. Mu Chen seemed to mull over Jiahui's words before he nodded. Then, he said with a straight face, indeed. I should really thank Mr. Fu for not marrying Song Ning. Naturally, I have to thank Miss Feng for breaking them up as well. At this moment, one of Feng Man's friends cried out angrily, Feng Man. I didn't expect you to be such a person. Feng Man panicked. No, it's not true. It's not true. I've not met his elders. Indeed. Feng Man was telling the truth. She had never met Fu Li's elders. She only sent those messages to Song Ning because she knew Song Ning was a prideful person. She knew Song Ning would give up on Fu Lu after listening to her message. Moreover, she had no qualms about lying since she had already won Fu Li's heart. It was only a matter of time before she met his elders. Her plans had gone smoothly. However, she had felt uneasy when she heard Song Ning had left with a rich and handsome man yesterday. Who knew Song Ning would turn around and find an even better man? How could she endure this? Since they were young, Song Ning had stood high above the masses. Song Ning was beautiful and had good grades, she was eye-catching no matter where she went. It was unfair. Apart from Song Ning's good grades, she did not feel she was inferior to Song Ning. So why was God so good to Song Ning? Mu Chen no longer paid any attention to Feng Man. He held Song Ning's arms as he spoke politely to the director and the professor as he walked away. After everyone left, Feng Man collapsed to the ground. She was unwilling to admit defeat, but what could she do now? In Mu Chen's car. Mu Chen had brought Song Ning away after obtaining permission from Professor Li. At this moment, Song Ning was still in a daze. Mu Chen reached out and helped her to fasten the seat belt. Then, he ruffled her hair as he asked, "Why are you so quiet? Are you in shock?" Song Ning pushed away his hand so he would not make a mess out of her hair. "Did you really deliberately ruin the roses Fu Lu gave to Feng Man yesterday?" Mu Chen nodded while starting the car. Yes. Song Ning was slightly taken aback when she heard Mu Chen's direct admission. She asked, "Why?" "I was in a bad mood," Mu Chen answered bluntly. She could not help but smile when she heard Mu Chen's reply. He was domineering and as cold as an iceberg in front of outsiders. However, when he was with her and his grandmother, he was a completely different person. He could be domineering as well, but he was mostly adorably childish. In the end, she said in an attempt to reassure him, "Actually, I'm no pushover. You've seen it for yourself earlier. I spilled coffee on them." Mu Chen remained silent. Chapter 34. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Family Background Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Mu Chen was aware that Song Ning was capable of protecting herself. He knew an unyielding and tough woman lay beneath her calm exterior. However, he knew her protective armor was made of layers upon layers of scars. The more he got to know her, the more distressed he felt for her. He did not know what happened during the 3 years after she changed her name from Ning Xia to Song Ning. Since she did not say anything, he would not ask her about it. Regardless, he knew she must have gone through an excruciating transformation during that time. Similarly, those 3 years were excruciating for him as well. Who knew that all these things inexplicably formed an invisible magnetic field that drew them together? At this moment, Song Ning said in a daze, "Everyone knows about our relationship now." A trace of panic appeared in Mu Chen's heart when he heard these words. Outwardly, he just raised an eyebrow and asked, "What's the matter? Don't you want them to know about us?" Song Ning looked at him and said teasingly, "This means my juniors won't buy me snacks anymore. I can only depend on Jiehui to treat me in the future." Mu Chen laughed, feeling relieved. He did not expect Song Ning would have such a playful side to her as well. He said, "I'll have my staff send all kinds of snacks to your office tomorrow." Song Ning hastily shook her head before she said with a faint smile on her face, "Please don't. Let's keep a low profile. Did you see Secretary Zhang's face today? I'm guessing he'll come to my office tomorrow to kneel and beg for mercy. He has been so careful all this while, and yet, he made such a big mistake today." Mu Chen nodded. "That'll teach him a lesson. There are people like him everywhere. If they're used well, they'll be an asset. Otherwise, they would only be a burden. I think Direction Lin knows this very well." Song Ning frowned. "I don't like dealing with interpersonal relationships. That's why I can't manage the staff in the studio well." When the car stopped at the red light, Mu Chen reached out to pat her head again. "Silly, I'm here to help you, right? Just focus on your studies. Based on Professor Li's words, I can see he admires you a lot." Song Ning looked at Mu Chen for approval as she said, "I'm thinking of asking Professor Li to have a look at Grandma when he's off duty. After all, it might be inconvenient for Grandma to travel to the hospital." "I agree. However, it's better that you speak to him." Mu Chen looked at Song Ning from the corners of his eyes and smiled. Song Ning could not help but blush when she felt his gaze on her. "Based on what I saw earlier, he treats you sincerely and loves you like an elder." "Yes," Song Ning nodded slightly as a trace of sadness flashed in her eyes. "In fact, Professor Li is my grandfather's apprentice." Mu Chen was taken aback. "Your grandfather?" Song Ning nodded. "I studied medicine because my grandfather told me that I should become a doctor if I can't get into politics. I can't become a politician, but I can become a great doctor." Mu Chen smiled bitterly. "Ning, your family members are very outstanding, huh? Professor Li is one of the best doctors in the nation. This means your grandfather. I don't even dare to guess. Moreover, your mother is a master at embroidery. It feels like you're way out of my league." Song Ning smiled and gently hit him. She knew he was trying to cheer her up. After a moment, Mu Chen asked tentatively, "Then, your father?" Song Ning's expression darkened instantly. "He is powerful and influential as well, but we no longer have anything to do with each other. I only had my grandparents and mother. Now that they're gone, I'm an orphan. I have no family, and I'm on my own." Mu Chen instantly refuted her words. "That's not true. You have me and Grandma." Song Ning fell silent. Life was really full of surprises. Beov Mu Chen smiled and changed the subject. "Grandma is looking more energetic recently. She looks forward to your return from school every day as soon as she sends you off in the morning. My position in the family is really precarious now." Song Ning had erected a thick barrier around herself, she was used to protecting herself. However, those who knew her, especially elders like Mu Chen's grandmother and Professor Li, would be inexplicably fond of her and want to protect her. Chapter 35 You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Yi Xian Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation at the airport. Yi Xian, who was wearing sunglasses, walked out with her manager, Yang Li, as several assistants carrying her luggage carefully followed them. At this moment, she was emanating an icy aura. When Yang Li saw the reporters and fans waiting for Yi Xian, he whispered, "Don't put on such a sour expression. Smile sweetly. It's not a big deal that you didn't win. It just means you still have room for improvement. I didn't even get nominated. Do you think my fans are fools?" Yi Xian coldly retorted. Yang Li took a deep breath before he said, "You can say you went there to observe and gain experience, and that it was just a baseless rumor that you were nominated. Tell them you still have a lot to learn. Don't be nervous. You must look cheerful, positive, and magnanimous. You can try to look slightly sad as well so your fans will sympathize with you." Yi Xian ignored Yang Li and said to one of the assistants at the back, "Find out the person who spread the rumors immediately." "Yes," the assistant hurriedly replied. Yang Li sighed. It was truly difficult to work with Yi Xian. After exiting the gate, Yi Xian immediately put on a dazzling smile. She had prepared her speech so she was confident she would be able to present a gentle and humble image to the masses. However, she felt as though she was going to have a mental breakdown when she heard the first few questions from one of the reporters. "Ms. Yi, do you know President Mu Chen is married? Did you use him for publicity and to get better resources?" The reporters shoved their microphones in her face. Yi Xian, who had taken a deep breath, preparing herself to give the reporters an eloquent answer, was shocked when she heard these questions. "What? Mu Chen is married? What the hell?" Yi Xian turned around to look at her assistant immediately. The assistant hurriedly lowered his head and pretended to brush the dust off the luggage in his hands, avoiding her gaze. At this moment, a reporter showed his mobile phone to Yi Xian. A very clear picture of a man and a woman walking toward a Rolls-Royce Phantom on the screen of the mobile phone. Yi Xian recognized Mu Chen immediately. He was as handsome as ever. When she saw him resting his arm affectionately on the woman's shoulders, her eyes widened as she instinctively raised her hand and threw the phone away in rage. A commotion broke out immediately. Clearly, Yi Xian was furious. Yang Li could not help but sigh. She's done for. Yi Xian's face turned pale. Seeing her anger, a reporter seized the opportunity and asked, "Ms. Yi, what's your relationship with Mr. Mu?" Meanwhile, the reporter, whose phone was thrown away by Yi Xian, finally found his phone. He was almost trampled by the crowd while he searched for his phone. At this moment, his back was drenched in cold sweat. Undeterred, he held his mobile phone up again and asked, "Ms. Yi, are you angry? Are you Mr. Mu's lover? Did Mr. Mu cheat on you when you were abroad? Ms. Yi, didn't you deny your relationship with Mr. Mu previously? Were you lying at that time? Ms. Yi, what's your relationship with Mr. Mu?" Yi Xian bit the inside of her lip so hard that she could taste the faint metallic scent of blood. Upon seeing the commotion, Yang Li quickly instructed the assistants and bodyguards to separate Yi Xian from the reporters. Then, he quickly said to the reporter to do damage control. Sorry. Xian's hand slipped earlier. "We'll compensate you and buy you a new phone. Thank you for supporting Xian." At this moment, the fans who were present began to chant loudly. "Xin! Xin! 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 Xian, we love you. Xian, we support you. Xian, we will definitely help you find the mistress and avenge you. Xian, don't be afraid. We will always support you." Under Yang Li's protection, Yi Xian walked out of the airport without saying another word. As soon as she entered the car, she removed her sunglasses and shouted at the assistant, "Give me the phone." The assistant hurriedly handed her the phone and looked at Yang Li, silently pleading for help. Yang Li reached out and quickly snatched the phone away from Yi Xian. "Don't look at it. It has nothing to do with you anyway." Chapter 36. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Anger Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Yi Xian looked up and glared at Yang Li. "You've known about this from the beginning, didn't you?" Yang Li looked at Yi Xian's beautiful face that was distorted by anger and sighed helplessly. "Yi Xian, in life, you win some, and you lose some. As a celebrity, it's best to remain single so you won't have any scandal. Back then, you used Mu Chen to stir up a scandal because you wanted to create the image of a career woman for yourself. Regardless of how amazing Mu Chen is, there's no point in you thinking about dating him now. Moreover, your previous reluctant attitude has already negatively impacted your image. What do you think the reporters would write about you now that you threw someone's mobile phone away?" Yi Xian shrieked furiously, "I don't care." Yang Li looked at her and solemnly explained, "Yi Xian, you were given the nickname Little Ning Xia when you debuted. Do you know how many fans of yours are Ning Xia's fans? They only became your fans because of Ning Xia. As soon as you make a mistake, it's not difficult if they want to ruin your entire career. Do you understand?" A sense of helplessness rose in Yang Li's heart. It would be great if Yi Xian was Ning Xia. When Yi Xian finally calmed down, she said to her assistant icily, "Call my brother and tell him to deal with the reporter with the phone. I don't want to see any negative news about me making the headlines." "Yes," the assistant hurriedly responded and called Yi Xian's brother, the CEO of the Yi Group. Finally, Yi Xian turned to look at Yang Li again and asked, "Is there any truth to that news?" Yang Li was confused for a brief moment before she realized what Yi Xian was asking about. Then, she shook her head and said, "I don't know. Mu Chen is like a celebrity after we used his name to create a scandal. He received media attention because of you. It's not surprising that the paparazzi are paying attention to his every move." Yi Xian then fell silent. Only she alone knew how terrified she was at this moment. Previously, Yi Xian had been surprised but ecstatic when Mu Chen's assistant had called her and told her that Mu Chen wanted to marry her in order to fulfill his grandmother's wish. It was her wish since she was a child to marry Mu Chen, after all. Apart from that, if her parents and her brother knew about it, they would have been delighted as well. However, at that time, her childhood dream could not compare to her dream to win the Lily Best Actress award. Just as Yang Li had said, she was able to debut as an actress due to some resemblance to the mysterious award-winning actress, Ning Xia. It was also due to this reason that it did not take long for her to shoot to fame after she debuted. After Ning Xia's retirement, her fans were looking for the next talented actress, and Yi Xing debuted at the right time. Ning Xia's fans gave all their love for Ning Xia to her. Apart from that, Yi Xian's parents and brother also helped her with her career by giving her multiple endorsement deals. As her popularity skyrocketed, the size of her fan base grew, she was desperate to get rid of the nickname Little Ning Xia. She thought she would be able to get rid of the nickname if she proved her worth by winning an award. This was why it was so important for her to win that award. Among the judges of the Lily Awards, there were directors who had collaborated with Ning Xia in the past. It was also said that there were 2 judges who were fans of Ning Xia. The movie Yi Xian starred in that was submitted to the committee of the Lily Award was similar to Yi Yao, that Ning Xiao starred in the past. At the start of the Lily Awards, Yi Xian's popularity skyrocketed even more. Her popularity was at an unprecedented high. When Yi Xian's team made an inquiry through multiple channels, they discovered that she had been shortlisted as a nominee for the Best Actress award. For this reason, she was determined to maintain her popularity and continue working. It was a critical moment in her career, and she could not afford to make any mistakes. Chapter 37. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Choice Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. At that time, Ning Xia was pure and gentle despite her cold and aloof exterior. She had a noble bearing and a melancholic air about her. For someone like Yi Xian, her image would be ruined the moment the public found out she was in a relationship, let alone get married. Therefore, what Yi Xian thought was an ingenious plan to create a scandal not only did not make her popular, but it made many of her fans hate her. After that, she no longer dared to recklessly make a move and relied on her manager and the company instead. She had climbed to the peak of the entertainment industry by relying on Ning Xia's popularity. Therefore, to stop people from comparing her to Ning Xia, she had to win the award. After that, if with a few decent movies, she could slowly be herself again. The path Yi Xian had chosen was filled with obstacles. However, since she had chosen this path herself, she did not have any regrets. Moreover, she was just one step away from her goal. For this reason, she refused when Mu Chen proposed to her. If she missed the Lily Awards this time, she would have to wait another 3 years. As an actor, youth was an asset. Alas, youth would not last. During the 3 years, many unpredictable things might happen as well. Therefore, she knew that she could not miss that opportunity. In her opinion, Mu Chen would always be there waiting for her. She was sure he would still be single after 3 years had passed. The youth of an artist was limited, and many unpredictable things could happen in these 3 years, so she couldn't afford to miss this opportunity. However, Mu Chen would always be there waiting for her. She was sure that he would still be single after another 3 years. The only person who could marry Mu Chen was her. Not only was she outstanding, but the relationship between the two families was good as well. Mu Chen's beloved grandmother and his father and stepmother whom he hated were very satisfied with her as well. For these reasons, she had no doubt she was the best candidate to marry Mu Chen. Moreover, even when Mu Chen needed to fake marriage to appease his grandmother, he could only call her for her help. Apart from her, she was certain no other woman would marry him. Since she knew he would not be able to find another woman to marry him, she boldly refused him. At that time, Yi Xian had planned to fly back immediately after the Lily Awards to marry him. She had even thought about the explanation she would give to her fans. She planned to tell about her love story with Mu Chen and how they were childhood sweethearts. Those idiotic fans would definitely fall for a tear-jerking love story, after all. With all these plans, she was confident it was just a matter of time before she would get married to Mu Chen. Apart from that, she would also successfully step out of Ning Xia's shadow. It was exhausting having to try to be another person. Unfortunately, she, her manager, and the company did not expect that she would return empty-handed from the Lily Awards. Not only did she not win, but she was not even nominated in the first place. Her previous campaigns, interviews, her name trending on Twitter, and her rivals on the red carpet were nothing more than a joke. After Yang Li painstakingly consoled her, Yi Xin finally memorized her prepared speech and mustered up her courage to the fans who were waiting for her. She tried to calm down and looked at it in a positive light. It was not a big deal for her to pretend to be like Ning Xia for another 3 years. She also looked at it positively. It was no big deal for her to pretend to be Ning Xia for another 3 years anyway. Moreover, Ning Xia had mysteriously disappeared. No matter how she imitated Ning Xiao, no one would say anything. However, she did not expect that the questions she had prepared for had been pushed aside for other questions. Moreover, the questions were about Mu Chen's recent marriage to another woman. Yi Xian really felt like she was having a mental breakdown. She refused Mu Chen's proposal for the award, and yet, she lost the award. In the end, she lost both Mu Chen and the award. She had lost everything. The more she thought about it, the more furious she became. She barked, "Bring me to the Mu residence now." The driver lightly stepped on the brakes and glanced at the rearview mirror. The cars following them must belong to the paparazzi. At this moment, the assistant said timidly, Ms. Yi, if you go to the Mu residence now, the media will definitely create baseless rumors about you. I'm afraid that the previous news about you will surface again. Chapter 38. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Calculations Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. An unsightly smile appeared on Yi Xian's beautiful face. No, they'll only make baseless rumors if I don't go to the Mu residence. I must go to the Mu residence today and stay there for at least an hour before leaving with a smile. Only then will the paparazzi be led into thinking my relationship with Mu Chen is real and disprove the rumor that he's married. Dumbfounded, the assistant muttered, but then, the image you created previously would be ruined. She looked at the assistant sharply as she retorted, I wasn't even nominated, my image is long ruined. If I don't hurry up and do something to catch everyone's attention, I'll be done for. The young assistant was terrified and no longer dared to speak. He only looked at Ms. Yang. Yang Li thought about it for a while before she said to Yi Xian, Yi Xian, it's not necessarily true that he's married. The paparazzi only want to get a reaction from you so they'll be able to write clickbait articles about you. Due to the previous incident, the media are paying close attention to Mr. Mu. When a woman was caught on camera next to him, they simply wrote a groundless article for attention. It's not necessary for you to get so worked up about this. Yi Xian closed her eyes and leaned on the seat before calmly saying, I'm not fine with that either. Apart from his grandmother, the only woman who's allowed to be by his side is me. The other assistants lowered their heads immediately. Truly, no one could surpass Ms. Ye's possessiveness and domineering personality. Yang Li frowned. Peng is right. If you get caught in a scandal now, it'll be very bad for your image. Yi Xian opened her eyes and said indignantly, that's not my image, it's Ning Xia's image. If I keep imitating her, I'll lose my boyfriend. I can't lose both my boyfriend and my career. Mu Chen is my entire life. Since I didn't get the award this time, I have to have him now. As for my image, I'll leave it to you to clean the mess. After she finished speaking, she closed her eyes indifferently. After mulling it over for a moment, Yang Li ordered the driver, who was driving slowly, drive us to Four Seasons Cloudy Peak. The corners of Yi Xian's lips lifted into an icy smile. It was best for her to make her own decision at a critical moment like this. The Four Seasons Cloudy Peak was not a place where anyone could just enter. When the butler received a notification from the guards at the gate about a visitor, he notified the old madam immediately. At this moment, Jiang Jin had put on her reading glasses before enthusiastically studying Song Ning's embroidery easel with you. When she discovered Song Ning could also embroider, she pestered Song Ning to show her the embroidery despite Song Ning saying her embroidery skill was only mediocre. Song Ning wanted to make Jiang Jin happy, so she gave her a thick booklet filled with patterns hand-painted by Zhuang Yi. Following that, she asked Jiang Jin and Yu to choose a pattern they liked. Jiang Jin and Yu were both so excited that it took them a few days just to decide on the patterns they liked. Song Ning embroidered a flower on a piece of white silk and taught Jiang Jin and Yu how to embroider. Their progress was slow since Song Ning was unavailable to teach them all time due to work. Nevertheless, the two elders had a good time learning. When Jiang Jin heard from the butler that Ms. Yi Xian was at the gates, she took off her reading glasses and asked, where are the young master and young lady? The butler replied, young master wants to bring the young lady to a newly opened dessert shop in Xicheng to try the cakes, but young lady wants to stay at home to make pastry for you instead. Jiang Jin nodded. Tell the young lady that I insist she goes to the new dessert shop. She can make the pastry for me when she returns. Understood. The butler nodded and left. Wait. Jiang Jin stopped him suddenly. Wait at the entrance. Make sure young master's car has left the gates before you let Ms. Yi in. The butler hesitated before he said, since Ms. Yi is here, I'm sure the reporters are here as well. If we let Ms. Yi in, he trailed off. Jiang Jin glared at him and said, "That's why I'm asking you to wait for the young master's car to leave before you invite Ms. Yi in. I'm trying to show the reporters that Ms. Yi came to see, and her visit has nothing to do with my Mu Chen." "Oh, all right." Following that, the butler left in a hurry. At this moment, you could not help but ask, "Old madam, what are you trying to do?" Jiang Jin lifted up the embroidery easel and took a photo. The award ceremony should be over. Since Ms. Yi returned empty-handed, she must have finally remembered my grandson. I'm going to teach her that things won't always work out the way she intends them to. Yu was puzzled. The young master is already married to the young lady. Why bother letting Ms. Yi in? The Yi family spoils her rotten, even her family can't control her. Why should we do this? The young lady has said that you can't get over emotional. Chapter 39. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Give her a taste of her own medicine. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Jiang Jin pursed her lips. Then, she said with a sigh, "In just a few days, the girl has won you over completely. Now, you're even trying to control me." You smiled but remained silent. It was not just her, everyone in the family had been won over by that girl in just a few days. As Jiang Jin continued embroidering, she said, "Although Ning looks fine on the surface, she has gone through much suffering. Her parents are divorced, and she has never spoken much about her father. She must have been in a lot of pain when Zhuangyi passed away at such a young age. At that time, she had just entered university. How did she go through it? If I'm not mistaken, Mu Chen has fallen in love with her. However, she's too strong and independent. It won't be easy for her to completely open her heart to him. Now that their relationship is getting better, how can I let that be *tch ruin their marriage?" Realization dawned on you at this moment. She said, "So you're afraid Ms. Yi will try to sabotage young master and young lady's relationship?" Jiang Jin shook her head. "It's too bad that my help is limited. There are things that they'll have to face on their own. However, now I only want to see them being affectionate. I'll only feel assured to let them face difficulties once Song Ning grows closer to Mu Chen." "Oh, it seems like you've given this a lot of thought," you said with a smile. Jiang Jin sighed. "I have no other choice. If Liang Zhen was still alive, an old lady like me wouldn't have to worry about these things. Liang Zhen is a fool when it comes to love, and so is my grandson. It's not a bad thing for him to be like his mother, but I'm just worried he'll choose the wrong person as his partner. Yi Xian is cunning. Even if Mu Chen wanted to marry her back then, I wouldn't have agreed to it. That's why you tricked her with the Lily Awards. Old madam, your actions were too risky. If the young master had fallen in love with Ms. Yi and discovered that you did such a thing, he would have been furious with you. Fortunately, young master doesn't like Ms. Yi at all. I didn't really trick her. I just gave her a taste of her own medicine. She shouldn't use Mu Chen to advance her career. As soon as I found out she did such a thing, I knew that I would never agree to them being together. The child is shrewd but an idiot at the same time. Instead of relying on herself, she relied on Ning Xia's popularity to enter the entertainment industry. How can someone who has to rely on another person to get famous get far in life? I can't believe the Yi family as well. Is this part of their strategy, or are they really spoiling her excessively? They keep turning a blind eye to her idiotic behavior. I'm afraid she won't have a good end. You asked worriedly, "Old madam, do you think the young master would be tricked by the Yi family in the future?" Jiang Jin rolled her eyes. "Do you think your young master is an idiot? Since he was 8 years old, I've dragged him to all the board meetings. He has seen all kinds of sly, scheming, manipulative, and conniving people before. It's just that he can't be bothered to deal with them. If the Yi family steps on his bottom line, he would definitely bring the Yi family down, even if it would affect him as well. Both sides would incur huge losses. At that time, things will be difficult to deal with. You nodded. That's right. With young master's hot temper, he would get into a lot of trouble if you're not here to guide him. Jiang Jin picked up Song Ning's embroidery easel again and said with a smile, I can still guide him while I'm still alive, but what if I pass away? He doesn't even recognize his own father. I feel relieved now that Song Ning is here. She can guide him on my behalf. She's calm and quiet, and yet, she managed to catch the attention of my evil grandson. This is great, at least Song Ning's here now, so I feel relieved. She can guide him instead. This girl is very calm and collected, as well as a little slow-witted, yet she managed to subdue my evil grandson. This is great. You could not help but smile. Hey, stop insulting young master. Young master is like a pure-hearted child. Jiang Jin stared at her and said. You're just biased. You smiled when she heard a small noise. Then, she said, Mr. Jiang should have already invited Ms. Yi in. Jiang Jin put the embroidery easel down and removed her reading glasses. Let's go. We must welcome our guests. Chapter 40. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Assist Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Song Ning asked Mu Chen, is their cake really that delicious? Mu Chen said as he drove, we won't know until we try it. Cheng Che said that I can send him to a god-forsaken place for a business trip if it doesn't taste good. Song Ning giggled. Why are you so shameless and childish? Mu Chen glanced at her. I hope you'll remember what you just said. I'll show you what true shamelessness is. Song Ning smiled and looked out the window, not bothered by his threats at all. All of a sudden, she turned around and asked, why are there so many paparazzi outside? Mu Chen, who had already long noticed their presence, calmly replied, I don't know. Perhaps, there's a celebrity around. Song Ning instinctively turned around and hid her face. Is it possible that they're here to take pictures of you? Didn't you say you used to have an affair with a celebrity before? Song Ning did not have a habit of reading entertainment news, and Mu Chen thought it was a good thing. He reached and patted her head as he said, well, I'm having an affair with you now. Song Ning pushed his hand away, still turning her face away from the window. I'm not a star anymore. I can't even compare to those lesser-known stars. Mu Chen held her hand gently and replied, don't strain your neck. Don't worry, they won't be able to take pictures of you. The windows are tinted dark. Nevertheless, Song Ning was still skeptical. Upon seeing the doubts written on her face, he said again, it's true. Finally, she heaved a sigh of relief and straightened her back. Amused, Mu Chen chuckled as he said teasingly, you must have been used to this kind of thing when you were popular, right? Song Ning did not respond to his words. Upon seeing her reaction, he turned to look at her and asked, you don't seem happy whenever I speak about your past. Song Ning said softly, it's not that. It's just that many things in my past are connected. When I think of one matter, I will inadvertently think of another matter. All these things happened so long ago, so I don't really want to talk about it. Moreover, I don't want to be in the spotlight again. His grip tightened around her hand as she asked, the paparazzi are here because of you, right? Is it because you had a dating scandal with a celebrity before, so they're trying to find out if you're with that celebrity? Or are they here to find out who your new lover is? Mu Chen felt a little helpless when he heard her questions. Song Ning was taciturn and calm, but underneath that exterior lay an extremely smart woman. Moreover, she was once in the entertainment industry. Therefore, it was not difficult for her to figure out what was going on. Answer me. Song Ning shook his hand, urging him to answer her. He nodded before he explained, the thing is I have nothing to do with that celebrity. I was tricked by her. She wanted to stir up a scandal, but she did not want to associate with the male stars in the industry. Therefore, she decided to use me. After that, her family came to apologize to me. In the end, I removed my name that was trending on social media. Nevertheless, the internet never forgets. Therefore, this incident has left a stain on my name. In fact, he was rather annoyed by this matter. Song Ning glanced out the car window as she asked, "Did they follow us when we left? Can we still go to that shop for cakes?" Her main concern now was whether she would be able to eat the cake today. Mu Chen could not help but smile when he saw that all she cared about were the cakes. He said softly, "Let them follow us if that's what they want. I don't want to ruin our trip to the dessert shop today." Song Ning sighed. "It seems like the paparazzi are more interested in you than the celebrities. Why don't you drop me off first and park your car at the corner? I'll buy the cakes while you drive around to divert the paparazzi." Upon hearing these words, Mu Chen asked in a slightly sulky tone, "Why?" Song Ning bluntly said, "Since you're the cause of the trouble, you naturally have to clean up the mess. Don't let your issues affect me and Grandma." Mu Chen laughed. "You and Grandma truly have similar thoughts." Song Ning did not understand his words. Meanwhile, Mu Chen recalled seeing Yi Xin getting into Mr. Zhang's car at the entrance. He thought to himself, "Forget it. There's no need to tell Song Ning about it." He knew his grandmother was creating an opportunity for him and helping him with his marriage. He could not let his grandmother's effort go to waste. It was already difficult for him to make Song Ning fall in love with him. Even if she fell in love with him, he probably would know. Mu Chen smiled. "Then, why don't I?"